Hello and welcome to today's video. Today is a slightly different one. It's very personal. It's completely my own feelings on all these pens, so please don't be offended if one of your favourite pens doesn't rank as highly on this list for me. But I've seen a bunch of creators make similar kinds of lists to this across different genres and sort of, areas of interest and things like that. A couple of fountain pen people have, so I thought I would do mine. And in my typical style, I've worked out the math, I've made a complete list, and I've done Excel sheets and things, and I enjoy that. So that's what we get here. So I have done, separated this into 4 categories, and I've taken the last 50 pens that I have reviewed on this channel. So this is from about the middle of December through to the end of July 2025. So about 7 months to review these last 50 pens. And I have given them all a score out of 100 for performance, design, value, and joy. And then I've averaged those out. And it's the average score that I am going to categorize them by. So I've separated into 4 categories here. So we have superb, which is for 90 and above. Excellent for roughly, the 70s and 80s. Good for roughly the 50s and 60s. And then we have a problem for 50 and under. You'll see a definite bell curve in the results here, of course. But as I said, I've gone through and given them all a score out of 100. If any pen got a score of 100 on any particular criteria, I will mention that. If there's a reason why they didn't get higher points or anything like that, I will also mention that. So I'm sitting here in the middle of regional Queensland on tour. I have my coffee here. Let's get started. Okay, we'll start with the first one here. This is the Asvine P80 fountain pen. Now this has got a score of 74.75, putting it in the excellent category. I like this pen a lot. It could have got a higher score if there weren't a couple of little design things like the overlay not feeling exactly the most comfortable in the hand and things like that. Next we have the Lamy Dialogue CC. This got a score of 76.5, also putting it in the excellent category. This is just a really wonderful pen, great nib, writes really, really well. Next we have the Roncari Pens Redwood. This one got a score of 90, putting it into the superb category here. This is a really wonderful custom pen. It's made beautifully. It was a giveaway, so I don't actually own this pen, but I absolutely loved it and really enjoy it. By the way, I'll also say all of these pens are reviewed on my channel, so you can find them by searching the individual pen on this channel. Next we have the Kaweco Classic Piston Sport, which got a score of 65.75, putting it in the good category. Now I have no problem with how this pen performs. My only issue with this pen is the fact that it's just a little overpriced. So this one retails for about $75 US, and I think that's just a little bit sort of too much, even with the piston. Next we have the Asvine J16. This one got a score of 96.25, clearly putting it into the superb category. This is an insane pen. This got a score of 100 for me on the joy category. I love writing with this. I've put a different nib on it from what came with it. I put an Incision Sparrowhawk nib on it now, but even the Yovo nib that came on it writes beautifully. The build quality is amazing. It's not a particularly original design, but it's a lovely design and just amazing value at about $60 US. Next we have the Studio Agakikan Galaxy Nebule. This is a pen with Galen leather. Now this got a score of 69.75, putting it in the good category. I think this is a really good writer. It has a nice design, all of that kind of stuff. It is a little on the pricey side. It's $180 US for an acrylic pen, standard cartridge converter with a steel nib, all that kind of stuff. So it puts it well and truly strongly in that good category. Next we have the Wancha Pochaco Now this got a score of 63.75, putting it into the good category. It writes well, it's got a good ink capacity, all that kind of stuff. It's decent value at about $40. It's just a little bit weird. Like, it's not a particularly standard sort of form and function in the hand. Next, we have the Jinhao Shark. This is a great little pen. Now, this one retails for about $5. This got a value score of 100. General score was 80, so it goes into the excellent category. For its price, this is a fantastic pen. Writes well, does everything you'd want it to do. Next, we have the Navala Eclipse. Now, this is a pen I have some issues with. It costs about $100, but I found the performance lacking. Like, it sort of dries out a bit and things like that. Like, it's not the best in that way. I think the design is amazing, but the value is also, I think, a little under. And just the pen didn't bring me that much joy. It doesn't feel great in the hand. It didn't write super well. So unfortunately, this got a score of 50, which puts it into the we have a problem category, unfortunately. Next is the Diplomat Viper. I don't think anyone will be surprised, but I love this pen. It retails for about $100. This got a score of 83.75, putting it into the excellent category. It's just a fabulous writer with a nice design, simple, good pen, great everyday writer. Next is the Scrivener EDC Chrome. This got a score of 67.5. It's perfectly fine, $43, so it's decent value. It writes well, it's got a pretty standard good design, and that goes into the good category. Next up here is the Conklin Durograph. This one got a score of 72, putting it into the excellent category. A lot of this pen's score comes from just sort of pretty good average scores. It costs about $65, so the value is okay. The design I really like. It performed pretty darn well, and I actually just really like it. So a lot of people will find this not as high in their rankings as I do here, but this is where it falls for me. Next, we have the Simple Pens Ventura. This is a pen I have some problems with, but it ranked well on certain criteria. So it ended up getting a score of 63.75, putting it into the good category here. Now, 63.75, a lot of that came from things like the design and the value, because it wrote okay, but I really love the design of this pen. I think it looks really cool, and it only costs $28. Now, there are pens that are a lot cheaper than this that are very similar, but I still think $28 for a pen that writes pretty decent and has a fun sort of design is not too bad. Next is a pen that I think is an absolute game changer. This is the Hongdian M2. It's got a score of 92.5, putting it in the superb category. This got a 100 for value because this pen retails for about $17. It's a pocket pen. It becomes a great size pen in the hand. It writes superbly. I think the design is really good and it brings a lot of joy. So 92.5 for the Hongdian M2. Next is the Monteverde MP1. This got a score of 65.25, putting it in the good category. The only thing for me that lets this pen down, because it writes well, it's got a good Yovo nib, good ink capacity, decent price at about $52. The only thing that really lets it down for me is the fact that the design is just a little bit nothing. I think it resembles a lot of the Wingsung pens from like 5 or 6 years ago. It's kind of just like a slightly fluffed up version of one of those, if you will. Next is the Asvine P30. This is a great little brass pen. This goes into the excellent category with an average score of 72. It only costs $40, so the value is good. The performance was excellent. The design is simple and nice. And, you know, it brings me joy to write with. It's got a nice weight in the hand. It feels good. So that goes into the excellent category. Next, we have the Wancha Nodoka. Now, these retail for about $35 come with a good range of nibs, all that kind of stuff. They performed superbly. The design is simple and clean. The value point, I think, is pretty good. And, you know, they're nice to write with. So this got a score of 73.25, putting it into the excellent category there as well. Obviously, we're going to see a bell curve here. A lot of these pens I buy myself, or when a brand gets in touch, I go through their catalogue and we select it together. So I'm selecting pens that interest me in the first place because these pens, I use them. I don't want to use pens I don't enjoy. So a lot of these pens, you know, will fall into the excellent to good sort of category or above, simply because they're pens I enjoy and I love, and that's why I picked them. So I'm not going to go out of my way to buy a pen that I know is going to be bad just to review it. So there is going to be that natural bell curve here. In saying that, next we have the Sailor Tuzu. This is a pen I wanted to love, but absolutely can't stand. I don't like the feeling of the grip. I think the design is off. The nib wrote okay. The highest score it got was for value, which I gave it a 70 for because the pen only retails for $40. But I think it's a really ugly pen. This is my own personal feelings, remember. All of this is just my own personal feelings. So unfortunately, this got a score, once again, an average score of 50. So it gets put into the we have a problem category. I just do not like this pen. I know a lot of people love it. I just don't like it. Next, we have the Titanium Fountain Pen. For me, this got a score of 75.25, putting it into the excellent category. However, on performance, on design, and on joy, it got really, really great scores. The only thing that lets this pen down is its value point. It's just a little expensive. It's $139. It is a titanium pen. Comes with a Bock nib, all those kinds of things. But a lot of people have a problem with the fact that it's still just a Chinese pen. I think it's a good Chinese pen, but it is on the higher price point. I will admit that. So if it had been under $100, this probably would have ended up in the superb category without any issue whatsoever. Next, we have the Jinhao 10. Okay. People are going to be really angry. I gave this a score of 41.25. This was the lowest scoring pen on my list. So it goes into the we have a problem category. Now, I understand a lot of people love this pen. A lot of people see great use and value in this pen. I understand that, but mine did not write. It's not an original design, so it lost points on the design. I don't care. In this design, doesn't matter if it's a copy or whatever, but it's not an original design. I'm not going into the morals of it. It's just not an original design. Other pens had this exact design before Jinhao, and unfortunately, mine doesn't write. So I also gave it a low score on value because if a pen doesn't write, it doesn't matter if that pen costs $5 or if that pen costs $18 like this one does. If it doesn't write, it's not a good value pen. So unfortunately, the Jinhao 10 in the we have a problem category. Next is the Kakimori Frost. This retails for $58 and it got a score of 56.25. So kind of in the good category, but on the low end of the good category. In fact, if there was an average bracket in the middle there, it probably would have gone in there. I just find this pen to be, slightly overpriced. The performance is adequate, but it just doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't excite me. I really liked the aluminium fountain pen from Kakimori, and so the Frost was just a bit of a letdown for me. Next, we have the Monteverde Dakota. Now, this is a fun pen. This goes into the excellent category with a score of 78.25. I really like this pen. I think it's got a cool design. It performed really, really well, and it brings me joy. So I think that's an excellent pen. Next, we have the Bennu autograph. So this is based on a Euphoria model, and this is one that can hand paint your name or something on it. I got a line from my favorite opera put on this pen. It's one of my favorite moments in all of opera, so I just got the lyrics for that line. It's from Verdi's Falstaff. And this pen got a 100 for joy simply because of that. So the overall score for the pen was 88.75. It retails for about $220. It writes really well. The Euphoria model is a fantastic design. I think because of the hand-painted elements, I think it's decent value. So yeah, 88.75 puts it nice and high in the excellent category. Another Bennu is next. This is the Bennu Beam Me Up. Once again, a hand-painted edition based on the Euphoria model. This has the fun space elements. I really like this pen. It retails for about $280. Good scores for performance and design and the joy and all that kind of stuff. Once again, up into that excellent category with a score of 87.5. Next on the list is a pen that could have ranked lower for me, but some criteria pulled it up. This is the Marjon V60. This is the rip-off, if you will, although some people didn't like that, rip-off of the Omas 360. So this pen, for me, got a total score of 57.5. It retails for $50 US, so it's okay. It performed adequately, like it wrote most of the time. It had a tendency to dry out and things like that, but it wrote sort of most of the time. Design, I think the value is good. I think the design is interesting. It's just not for me. So yeah, this got a score of 57.5. I just didn't love writing with it, but I can see where the value and where people will enjoy that pen. Next, we have the Pentel Tradeo. This is a more or less a very basic starter pen from Pentel. It has designs in rollerballs and things like that as well. This is the metal nibbed fountain pen version. I was surprised how much I liked this pen. I think it's a pretty decent writer, and at $30 it's pretty great value, and it brings me joy because it reminds me of my uni days where I wrote almost exclusively with the gel roller version of the Tradeo here. So this gets a score of 77.25, which is pretty good, and puts it in the excellent category. It's a really solid pen. Okay, next we have the Hongdian A7. This retails for about $35. It performed absolutely perfectly. It's got a beautiful design. I think it's decent value, and it brings me a lot of joy. 82.25 was this pen score, putting it nice and high in the excellent category. The Bennu Pixie is next. This is a pen that has undergone some revisions. So my original versions here, these retail for $55-ish US. Performed well enough. Cute little design. I enjoy the pen. I don't love it. I think it's decent value. So this one got a score of 68.75, putting it in the good category there. Next, we have a very special pen. This is the Pilot Custom Heritage 912. I think this is a absolutely brilliant pen. It retails for about $280, so it's not inexpensive. I think it performs absolutely spectacularly. It brings me great joy. It's a nice, simple, clean design. Really, I think the only thing that brings it down is the fact that it's not an inexpensive pen. It's just a cartridge converter. It's a plastic pen. $280 for me is the upper end of what this pen should cost. But I still love it and will always have them in my collection. We'll keep adding them to my collection with different nibs and things like that. This gets an 86.5, very, very nicely in the excellent category. Next, we have another Australian pen. This is the Platypus Pens Model 3. Once again, super high up for me in the the category of excellent, with a score of 88.75. So I really like this pen. I think it performs beautifully. It's got a nice design. I think it's excellent value at 100 Australian, I should say. So it's the only one priced in Australian dollars. Funny that. And brings me a lot of joy. So nicely is strongly there in the excellent category. Next is the pen that got the highest score for me across the entire 50 pens. This is the Just Turnings Deluxe fountain pen. This is one I did a giveaway of as well with Just Turnings. So this isn't a pen I own. I was loaned it for the review and to show for the giveaway. The deluxe model is an acrylic pen model. This used one of the primary manipulation materials, this particular one. Beautiful, simple design with a clip, an amazing nib. This got 100s for design. I think it's perfect design. I love it. It's exactly, if I'm going to have a colourful pen, this is exactly what I want. I think the value is great. I think it had an amazing, like you're talking about an artisan pen here, handmade, polished, all that kind of stuff, so it's great. And it brought me complete joy. So 100s across those, and then 95 for performance. So highest ranking pen up into the superb category is the Just Turnings Deluxe. Next, we have a really interesting pen. This is the Canwrite Mammoth. This is a mammoth. It's huge. It's got a number 9 nib, all that kind of stuff. Retails for about $95. It's got decent scores. The design it doesn't really do it for me. The value I think is okay, but I liked using the pen. It performed really, really well. So it got a score of 68.75. Nice and in the good category there. Next, we have the Pelikan M1000. Now, obviously, this is going to go into the superb category. I think there are very few pens that are as good as this one. This one got a score of 90, and it got 100s for performance, design, and joy. I think the design is perfect. I think it writes remarkably well, but this is a super expensive pen. It's $850. So for me, even with a great nib in the design, you're still paying a little bit for the name. Pelikan brings a premium. And so that lost points on the just the sheer cost of the pen. But it got a score of 90, even with that, putting it into the superb category there. Next, we have the Junlai or Wingsung 930. Interesting pen, huge pen, great value at $56. Performed really, really well. This got a 77, putting it into the excellent category. The flat top version, in my opinion, is even better. Next, we have the Tom's Studio fountain pen. This got a score of 77, putting it into the excellent category. This is a really good pen. It retails for about $100. It writes really, really well. And you know what? It actually brings me a lot of joy to use it. So really nice, excellent pen there. And there's an affiliate discount code in the comments, in the description, below. The next pen is the Wingback stainless steel fountain pen, another pen that has a discount code in the video description, so check that out. This is a remarkable pen. It retails for about $210, so not inexpensive, but great performance, like really great, well-made design, just superb pen, brings me endless joy. So this pen got an 86.25, putting it very strongly into the excellent category. Next is the Ellington Clarity, and this is the Azure model that I reviewed. This is, this goes into the we have a problem category here. And here is my thoughts. This pen retails for about $50. It performed stunningly. The design is really great, but it's not theirs. It is another version of the Jinhao 9019, which is a problem. Did it bring me joy? Sure, I liked it, but I like the Jinhao 9019. But this one retailing at $50 over the $15 the Jinhao costs means that the value point and then the design really lost it points. So you got 43 here. By performance, if you were going just on performance, this pen would be in the 80s. It writes like a dream, it's well made, all that kind of stuff. But the value point really brings it down. Next, we have the 5040 Pocket GT. This retails for about 155 US dollars. It writes like a dream. Love the design. Brings me heaps of joy. But maybe it is on the top end of its price point with a steel nib and small pocket pen, all that kind of stuff. I gave this pen an 81.25, so it's definitely in the excellent category. This is an amazing pen. It's one of my favorite pocket pens, but not inexpensive. Next, we have the Marjon P139. Now, if this pen had been an original design by Marjon, this pen would be probably right up there with the top superb pens on this list. However, it is inspired after the Montblanc Hemingway fountain pen, but this one writes incredibly well. It is an amazing value pen at about 40 US, and it brings me incredible joy, almost 100. But the average score for this pen was 84, so it goes into the excellent category there. Next, we have the Lamy Scala. Now, this is a pen I have problems with. I really like Lamy. I have a lot of Lamy pens that are among my absolute favourite pens across the board. But the Scala is not one of those. It just doesn't do it for me in the same way that a lot of the other Lamy pens do. This got a score of 62.5. And so that goes in the good category. It's okay. It's 140 US dollars, so I don't see necessarily the value in it. I think it's one of the most overpriced Lamy pens. It wrote remarkably well, great extra fine nib that I got on it. I think the design is okay, but it just doesn't do it for me. So yeah, unfortunately the Lamy Scala goes into the good category, whereas a lot of other Lamy pens would be at least in the excellent or above category there. Next, we have the 5040 Titan. This pen is amazing. It's not an inexpensive pen, about 690 US dollars, so it does lose some points on value simply because it's a steel nib, and at this price you would be expecting a gold nib. And there are some other pens that I have coming up to review that are very similar to that. But this writes unbelievably well. The design is astounding, and this pen got 100 for me for joy. I just love writing with this pen. If this pen wasn't so expensive, this would be in the superb category, but I put it into the excellent category here with a score of 83.75. So yeah, this pen, if it was, I don't know, $150 less, easily would be in the superb category. But with the steel nib at this price point, it's hard to put it up there. Next, we have the Hongdian N12. This pen retails for 34 US dollars, which is just wild. This got great scores for performance, for design, for value. I know the design is reminiscent of other brands, but it's a beautiful, beautiful pen, and that material, the purple there, is amazing. And it got 95 for joy. This pen got an average score of 91.25, putting it into the superb category without any hesitation whatsoever. Next, we have a really interesting pen. This is the JD X550, or the big metal pen. This retails for about 30 US dollars. It is a copy or a homage to the Pilot Custom Urushi, which is a pen that costs 30 times as much. But this one, it performed quite well. The design is not original. The value, I think, is okay. You get a lot of pen for your money at 30 US dollars. I didn't mind it. So this pen got a 64.5, putting it into the good category, which is, I think, appropriate for this pen. Next, we have the Marjon B25. This pen retails for all of about 8 US dollars. It is a copy of the Parker 25. So it doesn't get points for design here, but it does get really great points for performance. Mine wrote flawlessly. In fact, both of mine, I've got 2 of them now. They both write absolutely remarkably. I think the value point is astounding, and they bring me joy. I really enjoy writing with these pens. So they've got a score of 74.25. 71.25. So for me, it goes in the excellent category, and I think it's one of the best budget pens I've used in a long time. Next, we have the Sailor Lecool. This retails for about $33 US. It's one of the entry-level Sailor pens with simple steel nibs and all those kinds of things. It got okay points across the board. I really like the design. It brings me enough joy to want to use it. So I got 72.5, putting it in the excellent category there. Now, the next pen we have is the Schneider Coed fountain pen. This is a super budget pen. I think it retails for about $12 US. It's a stationery store pen, if you know what I mean by that. So I think the value point is really good because it wrote quite well. Got pretty decent marks for that. I don't love the design, but it's not designed to be like a fancy pen either. But I really enjoyed using it, and I like having pens like this around me because I don't have to worry about them. So this got a score of 72.5. Once again, putting it into the excellent category. Next, we have the Pentel Sterling, $35 US. Decent writer. Simple, clean, nice design, decent value, and I really liked using it. So once again, for me, 71.25 into the excellent category. Okay, we only have 3 pens left, and they're all really good pens. Pens I really, really like. The Asvine C80 retails for about $30 US. I think the design is simple and clean, nothing fancy, but nice. Amazing writer. I got both the medium and the stub nibs both right superbly. They bring me a whole lot of joy. And I think the value point at $30 US is pretty darn good. So 78.5, high up in the excellent category, goes the Asvine C80. Next, we have the Hongdian D5X. This is one of the most detailed pens that tells so much story. The Qin Dynasty there in China. When I went to China, I took this pen with me. I went on the wall with it. I took it to the Forbidden City, all these kinds of things. It really went home. This pen retails for about $40 US. It got really good scores for performance because it writes amazingly. I think the design is incredible. I think the value point at $40 US is really good, especially with the amount of detail and work that has gone into the pen. And it brings me joy. So this pen got 85, putting it quite high up in the excellent category. And then lastly, we have the Karas Pen Company Ink. This retails for $95 US, so good value. Writes amazingly well. I got it with the stub nib, but at the moment I'm actually onto I have it with the Bock titanium nib in it, which is awesome. I think the value is good and it brings me joy. So it also got 85 and ends up high up in the excellent category there. So that is my assessment, if you will, of the last 50 pens I have reviewed on this channel. 6 made it into the superb category. Luckily, only 4 made it into the we have a problem category, but you can see a whole lot of them are there in the excellent category. As I said at the start, this is my personal feelings. I've gone through and I've ranked them on performance, all that kind of stuff, but also on the joy of using the pen. Your rankings will be different. Where you place these pens will be different. This, for me, is why they end up like this. As I said, I buy a lot of these pens myself. And when a company and I talk about a review of one of their pens, we discuss the model, we discuss the nib. I don't want to be getting pens I don't want to use. I use these in my everyday life. I write with them, I journal with them, I draw with them. These are pens I want to use, and so I do my research. I don't want to get a bad pen at the start. Occasionally I get a pen that I don't love, like some of these ones in the we have a problem category. And some of these are personal reasons, like the Sailor Tuzu. I just don't think I think it's a very unattractive pen to my design taste. But then you get something like the Jinhao 10, which just dried out constantly. I couldn't write with it because it dries out. Or the Ellington Clarity, which is just a Jinhao 9019 in fancy packaging for 3.5 times the price. So yes, there is going to be a bell curve towards the excellent because that's what I go after, and I don't buy pens I'm not going to enjoy. But it's interesting to see sort of where things fall when you give sort of more clinical numbers to performance and value and things like that. And they are also a little bit personal, I will admit that. But yeah, interesting to see how they all line up. A number of these pens do have affiliate links, so check them out if you want to get a little discount on some of them. But also reviews of all of these pens are available on my channel, so you can find all those by searching the pen name. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notifications button. I really hope you found this video interesting. It was more for me, but you know, I've enjoyed watching other people make these kinds of videos, so I thought you might enjoy my take. So a big thank you to the brands that have supported me, and if you'd like to support the channel, I would really love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.